Hello, thank you for coming to my channel. My name is Dr. Chandra Smallwood, and this is Fighting Fear. Today I want to talk about depression and anxiety, because sometimes people don't know the difference, and they are very different. I have experienced both. I feel like most people have experienced both at some point in their life, but it's not always something that lasts a super long time. So, going to the DSM, I was listening to an anxiety ebook by this man. I don't remember his name at the moment, but he was talking about how he doesn't like the definitions in the DSM, which is like how they diagnose mental health disorders. But I feel like there has to be something, like something has to be written down about what things are, you know? I mean, of course, everyone is not going to fall into all these categories or have all of these traits, but we have to write it down, right? Like, we have to have something, some basis. So I call it the foundation because this is what is used to diagnose. So if they diagnose someone with depression, then they are using a standard, you know? So anyway, that's just the way it is. We have to have some kind of standards in life. If we fall in and out, that's fine. Okay, so I wanted to read about major depressive disorder and how it is diagnosed. So first, there are a few symptoms. There are 9 that they have listed. 5 or more of the following symptoms have to be present during the same 2-week period. And at least one of the symptoms is either depressed mood or loss of interest or pleasure. And I think that's a lot of what depression is, losing interest or what we want to do, like those times when you just can't get out of bed. That's depression. Okay, so the first is depressed mood most of the day, nearly every day, which is indicated by someone speaking it, saying they feel sad, empty, hopeless, or an observation from others. When I was in pharmacy school, I guess I was depressed. I don't really know. I feel like I was, but I didn't have a whole bunch of support at the time, like by other people, by my family, things like that. I was just kind of in school, just, getting through. But anyway, I was friends with one of the administrators in the office, Ola, I love her. And she had mentioned to me that one of the women that worked there said that I seemed depressed. And I was like really taken aback by like surprise. Like, first of all, I didn't even know this lady was observing me. Second of all, it must have been very obvious if someone who I never talked to would say that. So I thought that was very interesting. It made me feel kind of bad, but that was my reality at the time. So it is what it is. Okay, 2, markedly diminished interest or pleasure in all or almost all activities most of the day, nearly every day. I felt this, like, it's like when you have a breakup and you're like, I don't want to go anywhere, I don't want to talk to anyone, you know, I don't want to eat. That's me. Well, when I get really sad, I lose my appetite. Like, I will be super skinny, whereas other people emotional eat. I don't know. I think they're both bad. You know, both bad. 3, significant weight loss when not dieting or weight gain, or a decrease or increase in appetite nearly every day. That was me. So I remember I had an episode of depression in high school. And I remember being at McDonald's and not being able to eat. And at the time, I was a size 0. I mean, we're all really little in high school, you know, because our metabolism is out of control. But I could not eat. I was sad because of a breakup. I swear, like, men have definitely caused most of the depression in my life. Like, depressive times. I feel like my depressive times last about 2 weeks and then they go away. I used to always think to myself, like they say, time heals all. In 2 weeks, I'm gonna be a whole different person. 4, insomnia or hypersomnia nearly every day. So either trouble sleeping or sleeping too much. Me, I will sleep, not eat, but sleep all day and night. 5, psychomotor agitation or retardation every other day, observed by others, not merely subjective feelings of restlessness or being slowed down. So I had to read up psychomotor agitation because I don't know what that was. So it says that someone can't stay still, like they can't remain calm, like they're always moving, they're tapping their toes, or they're messing with their hair, or what else? They're talking really fast, or like pacing around the room. So they can't stay still, which is more of an anxiety part to depression. And we're gonna talk about that in a moment, because people can have depression and anxiety together. 6, fatigue or loss of energy nearly every day. I think this is like the big one. I feel like it should have been number 1. What was number 1? Depressed mood most of the day. It's just so easy to not want to do anything. 7, feelings of worthlessness or excessive or inappropriate guilt, which may be delusional nearly every day, not merely self-reproach or guilt about being sick. Okay, that definition I did not really care for. Basically, just not feeling good. These are the type of things that make people want to feel like want to commit suicide. They don't feel like they shouldn't be living. Nobody cares about them. They feel like they have no place in society. They have nothing to offer. Maybe if something happens, such as a breakup, they may feel guilt about what they did or didn't do and just like pine on it. But that definition sucked. 8, diminished ability to think or concentrate, or indecisiveness nearly every day. Yes, this is one of the most troubling parts of mental health disorders, I feel like, is your diminished ability to think or concentrate. Because I mean, if you have goals you want to achieve, which I feel like most people do, or things you want, it's sometimes hard to get there when you're depressed, or you're so like gung-ho about getting things done that you kind of ignore what you're feeling. You know, some people think, if I just keep going, if I, go, I don't have to worry. I don't have to ever sit there and feel anything. But that will always catch up with us, always. Because we're human beings, we're full of feeling and emotion. And we just can't continue to go all the time. 9, recurrent thoughts of death. Not just fear of dying, recurrent suicidal ideation without a specific plan, or suicide attempt, or a specific plan for committing suicide. I think this goes back to the one before it, the 2 before it, really. The feeling of worthlessness and the diminished ability to think or concentrate. Because sometimes it's all we want, right? We just want to clear what's in our mind. You don't want to think negative thoughts. You don't want to do anything. You just want to like live life and get through it. And, people commit suicide for all sorts of reasons, but I think that those 2 really affect that. So those are the 9 symptoms that the DSM has about major depressive disorder. There are different types of depression, but major depressive disorder is like the classic case. So these impair our social, occupational, and other important areas of functioning. And these are things that are not attributable to anything like substance abuse, because, you know, uppers and downers depending on what someone has, especially people who drink, they tend to, it affects their mood. So these are things that are not from that, or not from a medical condition, like something that's affecting maybe a part of the brain. These are clearly purely life. Okay, so before we go back to look at anxiety, I want to mention when major depressive order has, it's called an anxious distress. So an anxious distress is defined as the presence of at least 2 of the following symptoms during the majority of days of a major depressive episode or persistent depressive disorder. And so that is, sometimes people have depression for a long time, years, especially women who are on birth control. In the pharmacy, I've had many patients come in and not realize they were really depressed until they got off their birth control and realized that their mood and a lot of things about them had lightened. So definitely be careful about being on hormones for long-term use and how it may affect your mood. So, okay. So 2 of the following symptoms will be a depressive disorder with an anxious distress. So 1, feeling keyed up or tense, because, you know, anxiety, I'm just going to define anxiety while we talk about this so we don't have to go into the anxiety definition. So feeling keyed up or tense. Anxiety is the activation of the sympathetic nervous system, which, just in case anyone doesn't know, it's our fight or flight, which probably everyone has heard about. But basically, it gives you an extra jolt of survival. Like your body, it makes your body, I don't want to say superhuman, but it makes your body better able to withstand danger. Like it's either fight, flight, or freeze. I guess the freeze part isn't really gonna help you, but sometimes we freeze and we listen. Like a lot of time I think when you hear something and because your sympathetic nervous system is always on, it's always there. So you're always on alert no matter what. It's like when you hear something, you're just like, and you just freeze and like listen. Feeling unusually restless. That's also very much an anxious thing. You're worried, you just can't like really relax. Like a lot of times if I have anxiety or had anxiety in the past, if the chest tightness would make me want to just like move around. Like I would always like try to like stretch, so I couldn't just sit and just be normal. Well, I mean, I was normal, but I couldn't just relax. I always had to like move around to try to, try to move it out of my system. 3, difficulty concentrating because of worry. Always being worried about something. I was thinking about this last night as the person that I'm dating was here, and he is great, like great, really a great person. Does things that, it's funny because he does really nice things, but it's weird because I feel like they're normal things, but a lot of men I feel like don't just naturally do them. Like he'll do things with being unprovoked. Like I was giving my presentation on Zoom in my bedroom, and when I was done and came out, he was starting dinner, and I was just like, oh, okay, that was dope. And then when he left, he brought up the trash cans, and he doesn't live here, so that was not an expectation, but it was very nice. But even though it was super nice, this is kind of regular stuff, right? And like, I feel like in a way, like when men do regular things, they don't, I mean, it's not like, okay, you get a gold star because you did a regular thing. But there's a lot of men that don't do these regular things. So I feel like he does get a gold star. And, you know, I wanted to make sure to really let him know that I appreciated that, because I was like, you didn't have to do that, but you did it because you cared. And that was so nice. And I was just like, dang, you know, but my point is, he does these things like this, and sometimes I'll have a little bit of relationship anxiety because this is all very new. And I think the times that we're not like together, like at night, because, you know, he'll spend the night sometimes. Is he spending the night with another girl? I mean, he totally could be, but I mean, I'm not gonna know either way. So what's the point of worrying about it? And I should probably take some of the wonderful things that he does and think that he really cares. But that's the anxiety in me at times. And I'm going to talk about one day the difference between the ego and intuition. Because a lot of the times that's the ego just kind of yelling at us, trying to protect us. That's too much. Okay. 4, fear that something awful may happen. This is a big part of anxiety because that is what we do. A lot of times people who are anxious are scared of being anxious in the future. And to us, that's something awful. Because you always think about little things. Like when I'm on a plane, I'm getting on a plane today actually. When I'm on a plane and I think about, it feels like the walls are closing in on me and anything could happen. And the plane could blow up at any point. I mean, it could, but I'm already in it. I mean, what's the point of sitting around worrying about it, you know? 5, feeling that the individual might lose control of himself or herself. So when it comes to number 5, feeling that the individual might lose control of himself or herself, it's kind of like how sometimes people feel like they may have a heart attack, you know, and have to be rushed to the hospital, or you may do something dumb in public and someone may laugh at you. The feeling that like you have no control over things like that, which a lot of times we don't. But when you don't have anxiety, or when your anxiety is not in a disorder, you don't always think about that. And I say when anxiety is not in a disorder because anxiety is good. Anxiety is good. Anxiety is good for us. However, our minds can just take it to places where it doesn't need to go. Such as feeling like we're going to lose control of our body functions, of our minds, of ourselves. So when I just in general think about the difference between depression and anxiety, I think of depression as being not being able to get up out of bed. I don't want to talk to anyone. I don't want to eat. I just want to sleep all day. I don't want to do anything. I don't want to be social. I don't want to do the things that are good for me. I don't. You know, I just need time to just sit around and do nothing and be lazy. Whereas anxiety, we're a lot of times living regular life, it's just our mind is worried and fearful of the next step. Like we can't just focus in the moment. We're always like, oh my God, this could happen. Oh my God, I'm gonna wake up in the morning and I'm gonna have anxiety and I'm gonna have to be at work and someone's gonna say something to me and I gotta talk to so-and-so and I don't really like them. And am I doing a good job? You know, am I gonna get fired? Am I gonna get a car accident on the way there? Am I gonna make it back home? Is my child gonna want to eat tonight because she never wants to eat food? It's like a consistent like go. Just always just feeling restless. So to me, that's the biggest difference. It's like anxiety is like stimulating, like and depression's like but going back to depressive disorders with the anxious distress, so I read the 5 symptoms. 1, feeling keyed up or tense. 2, feeling unusually restless. 3, difficulty concentrating because of worry. 4, fear of something awful may happen. 5, feeling that the individual might lose control of him or herself. When it comes to severity, mild is you have 2 of those symptoms. Moderate, 3 of those symptoms. Moderate, severe, 4 to 5. And severe, 4 to 5 of those symptoms with motor agitation. Like I said, anxiety is like you just, when you're agitated, you just keep moving. Like you feel like you have to scratch, like people start messing with their hair, they start pulling their hair. You just don't stop. Join my Fear Fighter Facebook community where we share multiple ways to fight fear and decrease anxiety.